Hi, this is Cassie with MyCounselor.Online, and today I get to interview one of our awesome therapists, Sean Lauder, about an article he recently wrote, Mistakes Men Make When Talking to Their Wives. So thanks for meeting with me today, Sean.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, Cassie.
I thought this was such a funny title, and I was like, And then you go into your article and you say there's a 3-part formula, and I was like, only 3?
Well, there's probably more mistakes than that, but I went with 3.
So the first part that you talk about is cracking the safe, or trying to figure his wife out in a way that her response is going to be not rage or,
Yeah.
Emotional, catastrophe. So talk about what that might look like.
So men most frequently come into counseling with the mindset that I'm going to figure out how to talk to her in a way that keeps her calm, okay, and happy. And it sounds really good in a man's mind, because we think, well, if I keep her happy, then we'll have a good relationship and it'll be great. And that's what I'm supposed to do in that. And it's ultimately, it never works. She's never pleased with that. And he goes away frustrated and confused with a totally wrong conclusion that goes something like, there's nothing I can do that makes her happy. She's just not content. She's too critical. And so what ends up happening is you have a situation where, because his idea of what his role is wrong, his conclusion at the end is wrong.
Yeah.
And so we just totally miss the mark. And so again, I have guys coming in and basically they're like, teach me how to talk to her to get her to be okay. And so, it's always funny because, I steer guys away from that.
Yeah.
And pretty much anything that we do in therapy, he'll revert back to that, and we have to redirect regularly. And what I mean by that is we start learning how to actually communicate with our wife, and he'll come back and he'll say, it didn't work. Say, well, tell me what that means. And usually what it means is, well, she got more emotional, or she was upset, or, whatever. And I say, okay, well, that doesn't mean it didn't work. That's not what we're after. Your job in life, despite what you maybe think, is God did not put you there to manage her emotions for her. He put you there to learn how to connect with her in an authentic way. And so just right from the start, again, that's the word picture that comes to my mind. Somebody's trying to crack a safe. I'm going to figure out the code. And then what's even more fun is if he has an interaction that goes well, a wife will come in and say, well, he does this thing now where he always responds to me like this. And I'll say, yeah, I bet it worked one time.
Yep.
And he now thinks that that's the way that he's going to approach you.
Yes.
From here on out.
It in the bag.
He's got it. I know what to do. I know how to handle it. And of course, again, any woman who hears that is like, yeah, that totally makes sense why that wouldn't work. And men are totally confused by that.
Yes. The different ways we're wired.
We are wired differently, yes.
And then that moves into step 2. Like, once he feels like he has cracked the code in some areas, then he can input it into real life and try to manage her, which you said, she's responsible to manage her emotions, her behaviors, her attitudes. And I had to laugh too, because I'm like, oh, you think you're going to say the same thing and it's going to work the same way?
Yeah.
But I'm a woman. It does not work like that. Like, I have feelings, different days, different things are going on based on the kids, based on my friends, based on the environment, all the things. So, that ultimately, though, is him trying to manage her, is him seeking stability.
That's right.
In their relationship. And you talk about why that's actually a flawed idea. So
yeah. What it is a lot of times men will come in and I'll say, hey, where are you at emotionally? Where's your heart at? and they'll reply something to the effect of fine, kind of
Yes.
emotional beige. You know, as long as she's happy, I'm good. I said, well, we need to take a look at that a little bit. Because what men need to realize is, because our interaction is about connection, he needs to start noticing the ways in which his emotion gets stirred up within the relationship. And so a common one for guys is fear. And we don't like that 4-letter F word a whole lot. But let's say our wife is upset in that. And what men gloss over a lot of times is they're not paying attention to their heart. They're not noticing, oh my goodness, when she's upset, that starts triggering my fear. I feel less connected to her. I don't know how to handle this. I feel less comforted, and start getting into that. And that's really what we're after. So oftentimes a man's goal is to manage her heart rather than sharing his. My goal is to manage her heart, not share mine. And it is shocking to men when they learn that's exactly what their wife wants.
Yes.
You know, men oftentimes what I'll hear say, well, I didn't want to burden her.
Yeah.
Or I didn't want to, you know, I didn't think that's what this is about, or I didn't even know that was going on. And so they're shocked when they start sharing where their heart is at, and they start connecting with their wife, and how helpful and how powerful that is for both of them.
Yes, their wives just melt. And
their wives melt.
Instantly connected.
Instantly connect. And so do the husbands, incidentally. They start feeling more connected with their wives, and it unlocks their compassion for their wife in a whole new way. Whereas before, they were being patient to a point, which I'm going to try, and some of this better work.
Yeah.
A place where they're really tuned in with their wife. They're really compassionate towards her. And incidentally, again, she's really compassionate towards them. We're now really, really connected. We're not trying to manage each other. We're not trying to get things to go the way that we want. We're just really trying to connect and be close as a couple.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, you know, as we grow in relationship with our spouses, you know, there becomes like this easy ebb and flow of how we connect, how we communicate. You know, like, I know what my husband's gonna, when he makes this certain noise, I know that means he feels annoyed. Or when he does a certain thing, then I know he's gonna want this after that, or whatever the case may be. That is our authentic connection and knowing each other over the years and over time. And so, you know, I just want to talk a little contrast about like the ebb and flow of that. Like, I might say something because I know it's going to elicit a certain response in a healthy way. Versus what, you know, trying to crack the safe. Like, can you contrast how those two things are different?
Yeah, there's one really profound way they're different. When I'm trying to say the right thing, do the right thing, I need to recognize that what's different is my motive. My motive is not compassion and care for my spouse. My motive is to manage my emotions through them. That's totally different. And I hope that we say encouraging things. We do things that are loving towards our spouse that we know that they like. I hope that we do that. And our motivation there is I want to love this person the way that God has loved me.
Yes.
All right. That's a very different motive than I need to somehow get them to feel how I hope for them to feel so that I can emotionally be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very different motive there. So that's kind of how I define those things. One is to be an encouragement, to be compassionate, to be loving. The other is I'm feeling something that I don't like feeling. And so to make that better, what I'm going to do is attempt to get them to react the way I hope for them to, so I can feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very clear.
Yeah.
So, you know, the guys that are listening to this, and they are seeing themselves in what you're saying, and they're like, oh my gosh, but now what? You give them a little hope, give them a communication, you know, something practically that they can do today that will help encourage that authentic connection with their wives.
What I would say to men is probably the most critical thing for you, again, is stop trying to get in her yard and know what's going on in yours.
Yeah.
You need to know what's happening inside of you. You need to know emotionally what's happening inside of you. And a way to do that is first and foremost, if I start talking to a man and say, hey, tell me what's going on for you. If you find yourself saying things like, well, I feel like she doesn't listen, or I feel that this is just impossible. Okay. Anytime that you're following the word feel with a like or a that, you're probably not talking about what's going on in your yard. You're talking about your spouse. You're not actually talking emotionally about what's going on for you. You're talking about what's going on with her. You're making a statement. So pull that back in. And instead of saying, well, I just feel like she doesn't understand me, what I would want you to say is, what does that mean about you? What do you feel in that moment? Do you feel misunderstood? Do you feel unheard, disconnected? What do you feel? A feeling should be something that is an actual emotion. I feel alone. I feel misunderstood. And for men, one other practical tip with that is a lot of times men have a very cartoon version of what it means to be emotional. And what that means is when you feel misunderstood, you're kind of like alone in a dark room and it's raining outside. I mean, or if you're angry, you're blowing your top, and since I'm not blowing my top, I'm not angry. And I always share with men, that's not how emotions look in real life. Yeah, these are extremes. And so to say, well, I feel kind of misunderstood, that doesn't mean everything in your life is falling apart. It means in that moment, I kind of feel misunderstood with my wife.
Yeah.
And that's how emotions go. And so if a man can develop a little bit of nuance there where he recognizes the degrees to which we feel something, he can start noticing what he feels rather than just looking for the most extreme, if I'm raging, I'm mad.
Yeah. Only if I'm raging.
And only if I'm raging. And so if it's not there, there's nothing that I'm feeling. And so that gets us tapped in. We're talking about what we're feeling, not what our spouse is doing. We're talking about that in terms of emotional language, and we're recognizing that there are degrees of things, not just the extreme. If you can do that, you'll be way ahead of the game in connecting with your wife.
And just imagining having a conversation, a man who's never said anything like that and says, right now, I feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
How much compassion that would spark in my heart to pause what I'm doing, whatever I'm feeling, and really reach outside of myself. And it would immediately engender a deeper emotional connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's exciting. Well, I'm excited for the men who have watched this video and are going to read your article to use these tools to connect with not just their wife, but all the people in their, circle.
Absolutely.
And it's great. So thanks for meeting with me today, Sean. If you would like to see more from Sean, you can check out his other articles and other articles from other awesome therapists on the MyCounselor at MyCounselor.Online.